Well, Dash was set up in 1996 in response to there being no drug services about at all, and it was originally set up for young people, but over the last 16 years the service has evolved so that we provide support for drug users, families and friends of all ages, not just young people, so we deal with adults as well. We used to get a grant from the government, but following decision by Mr Robert Shaw in the last budgets, our funding was removed, a total of £109,000, which we now have to raise locally. Well, we're hoping to raise funding by encouraging people to give on a monthly basis. We've got fundraising events in the coming months. We have collection boxes out and about, but really we're looking for support locally from individuals who can help us and keep the service going, really. Society is reflected in the workplace, so there will be a proportion of individuals in every company who are affected by drugs or alcohol in some way, whether that's themselves or somebody else. And it is important for companies to be aware of the issues, and we would ask if they, that they could support us. We can come in and advise them on a management level on how to manage the situation. But really it affects everybody in the community, so we're hoping that the community will be able to support us and keep the telephone helpline and the one-to-one service going. As opposed to a non-statutory service, in a charity like ours, which is confidential, it means your details are not listed on a computer. It means we do not advise your GP unless you ask us to. It means that we do not involve social services unless there is a clear and present risk. Just because somebody takes drugs does not mean that they are an unfit parent in any way. There are obviously guidelines to go through, but everything is made clear to the individual. Certainly ringing the telephone helpline, nobody has to give their real name, and we get a lot of parents who are concerned about their children using the helpline. Obviously they don't want their children involved with the police. Where young people are concerned, our confidentiality is there to a degree. They can call us, we can see them on a confidential basis, and that applies to everybody who uses the service. Please be aware that it is confidential. Don't be afraid to get help. The key to getting a drug problem resolved is getting help early on and getting the help that somebody needs. We're not here to tick boxes. Certainly we keep statistics in terms of how many people came to see us, what kind of drugs were involved. That's the kind of information we're keeping, because we need to be able to plan ahead in terms of what awareness do we need to bring to the public's attention, like we did with methadone when that first started. So we need to see if there's any changes in the amount of drug use going on, but that's about it. With regard to research, we don't do that at all. We're not part of any research programme. I think you're more free to be able to run the service as it should be. And it's there for individuals and not spending 35 hours compiling statistics that aren't going to be used properly and nobody else can understand. So on that basis, yes, it's great, but on the other hand, now I'm in the position where I have to cut back on the amount of people we can see, because I've got to spend that time now on fundraising. So in one way it's good. On the other hand, it's had a detrimental effect, because now the service is at risk, basically. The Isle of Man does have a big drug problem. You ask any drug user and they'll tell you. Ask a politician and it's a different answer. But obviously people are very nervous about talking to anybody about a drug problem. It's an illegal thing to be doing. There's stigma attached to it. Certainly children whose parents use drugs are hugely stigmatised and afraid of speaking to anyone, of breaking that code of silence. And what I would say is just take that step. I only employ nice people. I'm not employing judgmental people. I would never do that, and we're not judgmental. We understand the issues involved, and just make that first step really and get the help you need, because that can actually change your life basically and mean the difference between things getting worse or better. Majority of people come to us and they do want to stop. That's great, fantastic. But you are going to get a number of people who just want to get more control back, and you've got to accept that, because that's life. You'll get smokers who want to just have a fag now and again. That's fine. if that's what they want to do, because it's their lives, and there's no judgment there if that's what they want to do. So if people want to stop using their drug use, or one of their drugs that they're using, that's fine, we can help them to do that. But in the end, and I think everybody would agree who's been through the service, it's not about drugs. It's about the other problems that are involved, and that's where the many hours of work are involved with in helping people get better. We time all our appointments so no one person will ever pass another on the stairway. You come into our office, which you'll see later on the film. I have a cup of tea or a coffee and we'll go straight through to the room and have a sit down and a chat. Nobody else will see you, no other member of staff. And if before you come you think you might know a member of staff, you just say, and we can make sure that they're out of the way. That's no problem at all. We've got to raise just over £100,000 a year to keep going. That's the telephone helpline. There are only 2 drug workers, myself and Becky, who see people with drug problems. We are both at the end of our tether in terms of the amount of people that we can continue to see. We need more staff, basically, in terms of the problem that exists. There is great demand for the service in terms of education, which we cannot fulfil because we don't have the staff. So now we're placed in that position of saying no. So it is unfortunate, but we just need people's support, really. It's not a sexy charity. We're not cuddly kittens and cute babies, but it is a part of life. And, you know, we estimate there's about 10% of the island's population is affected by drugs or alcohol in some way, and that is an awful lot of people. And if we can make that difference, fantastic. And we'd like the public to help us make that difference.